Studies have shown that people notice your shoes or whatever you are wearing on your feet on a subconscious level before they notice anything else about you. A further study found that people who wore expensive shoes were thought of as being more competent, confident, and attractive than those who wore less expensive shoes, and people with unkempt shoes were considered to be the reverse. In 1971, Frank Sinatra was unable to get ringside tickets for the highly anticipated Muhammad Ali vs. Joe Frazier fight, made an agreement with Life magazine to work as their photographer. This allowed him to have a ringside seat in the press box for the event described as the fight of the century. He took photographs during the match, with 4 of them used, including the one for the magazine's cover. The flowering of bamboo is a rare occurrence, with certain species taking several decades to develop flowers, ranging from 65 to 120 years. The most remarkable thing is that when bamboo does flower, every plant of that species worldwide blooms simultaneously, regardless of their geographical location. On October 17, 1814, a vat in the Moose Brewery in London burst, releasing 388,000 gallons of beer that flooded the streets. The beer flowed for several hours, and by the time it was stopped, it had covered an area of several acres and caused serious damage. 8 people were also killed either by drowning or by being crushed by the falling debris. It was caused by a faulty valve and a buildup of pressure in the vat. American singer-songwriter, dancer and model, Taylor Mull absorbed her sister in the womb. She was born with the condition of chimerism, which is a rare disorder where a person has 2 or more sets of DNA caused by their embryo fusing with their twin in the womb, leaving them with a large number of health problems. There are only around 100 cases of chimerism in the world, and those suffering with this have symptoms including autoimmune disorders, allergies, and infertility, with no cure available. A British psychologist found that men need to have at least 2 boys' nights a week to stay healthy. He found that men who spent time with their friends on a regular basis were more likely to be happy, healthy, and productive. It is thought that men in particular need to have time to bond with their friends outside of work and family obligations to allow them to relax, let loose, and be themselves. According to the New York City Department of Health, there are currently over 27,000 eating establishments in the city, including restaurants, bars, cafes, and street vendors. It has been estimated that it would take over 22 years to visit all of the restaurants in New York City, assuming that no new eateries are added during that time. LACHSCHLAGANFALL is a rare condition in which a person laughs so hard that they lose consciousness. The exact cause of LACHSCHLAGANFALL is unknown, but it is thought to be caused by stress, anxiety, and excitement. It is not a serious condition, and people typically recover consciousness within a few minutes. Here are 2 wine facts. A study published found that wine drinkers poured 12% more wine into a glass they were holding than one that was sitting on the table. It is thought that people tend to focus more on the vertical height of the wine in a glass when they are holding it, rather than the horizontal width. It was also found that white wine drinkers poured more wine than red wine drinkers. Wine fact 2. Another study found that drinking 2 glasses of wine on an empty stomach increased food intake by 25% at the next meal. This is because alcohol stimulates the release of hormones that makes you feel hungry. Red wine drinkers ate more than white wine drinkers, probably because red wine contains more tannins, which can stimulate the production of saliva, which helps to break down food, making you feel fuller faster. In 2010, a computer programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz paid 10,000 bitcoins for 2 pizzas. At the time, Bitcoin was a relatively new and unknown cryptocurrency, and each Bitcoin was worth only a few cents. Today, it is one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies in the world, and each Bitcoin is worth over $40,000, so if Hanyecz had held onto his Bitcoins, they would now be worth over $400 million. In 1994, a man named Michael Augustine offered the mummified penis of Rasputin to an auction house in New York City. It was preserved in a jar of formaldehyde and accompanied by a letter from a woman who claimed to have received it from her grandmother, a nurse in the Russian royal court. Experts later concluded that the penis was not human, but was instead a sea cucumber, and it was then returned to Augustine, who claimed that he had been duped. Chimpanzees can identify each other by looking at photographs of their bottoms in a similar way to how humans recognize faces. They have a variety of features on their bottoms, including different shapes, sizes, and colors of genitals, as well as different patterns of hair. 1/8 of a sloth's energy is used in defecation. As they are very slow-moving animals, they need to conserve energy by only moving when they need to. They typically only do this once a week, and they will climb down from their trees to find a secluded spot to do so. This process can take up to 20 minutes, and it uses a significant amount of energy. Banana plants are not trees. They are the largest herb in the world, and have a trunk made up of tightly packed leaves. The leaves are large and broad and can be up to 10 feet long. The herb can grow up to 30 feet tall and produce up to 200 bananas a year. Your kitchen sink has more germs than your toilet bowl. According to a study, kitchen sinks and taps have over 17,000 bacteria per square inch. This is because kitchen sinks are used for a variety of tasks, including washing dishes and preparing food. Toilet bowls are typically cleaned on a regular basis, and they are not used for food preparation, so they tend to have fewer germs if cleaned properly. 80% of the world's population live in the Northern Hemisphere. 6.4 billion people live in the Northern Hemisphere and 1.5 billion people live in the South. The Northern Hemisphere has a larger landmass, a more temperate climate, and has been inhabited by humans for the longest, contributing to a larger population. More people speak English as a second language than those who speak it as a first tongue. Of the nearly 1.9 billion people who speak English, only just under 20% speak it as a first language. It is the language of international business, communication, and popular culture, which makes it the language to learn for people from all over the world. A UK-based horticulture company has developed a plant that grows both cherry tomatoes and potatoes. The plant, called the ketchup and fries, is grafted together from two different varieties, a cherry tomato and a potato plant. The cherry tomato is grafted onto the top of the potato plant and shares the same root system. Dr. Roswell Park was a renowned surgeon who was performing surgery on a patient when he was called to the bedside of President William McKinley, who had been shot. He refused to leave his patient, even for the president. President McKinley died 8 days later, but Dr. Park was able to save the life of a young woman with similar injuries. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to be updated when new videos are released, please subscribe, like and comment.